Good morning. Sorry.
I feel like you're trying to compete with my good.
You do a far better Good Morning Vietnam than I ever do.
I've been thinking, can I just jump in straight on?
Oh, that's all right. Just take over my introduction.
Yeah, well, I was listening to radio the other day. Ant and Dec were on, and the radio presenter pointed out that they don't have a podcast, and they should have a podcast. They also said everyone has a podcast. So I thought we could fill the void and become the podcast answer to Ant and Dec, and I thought we could call them Alt and Delete. No? Well, tech. No? Tech. Okay. I'll go back and carry on with your introduction. I'll just leave it there.
Good morning, everybody. Hello, Adam. How you doing, my friend?
Alt.
Yeah. Hey, Alt. Meet Control. I'm Delete.
Yeah, exactly. No, I'm good. How are you?
I'm very well indeed, my friend. Another stupidly busy week, has it not?
I was up at 5:30 this morning, right?
I beat you by half an hour.
Did you?
5 o'clock.
There's no points, No one's scoring. I just woke up. Normally I don't go up that early.
Yeah.
But I was awake and it was like ping. I was working till I have my 8 o'clock rule done. I don't work after 8 o'clock at night. So last night I worked hard. I was on the page I was working on. And I was like, it's 1 minute to 8. I'm like, get this page finished.
Yeah.
I think so. And then I continued this morning. But yeah, the week has been crazy.
Last night I was working up until about 6 o'clock, 6:30, finished my tea, and I went, I'll just first sit down on the couch and then I'll go back to the... Michelle woke me up at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and said, you should go to bed. I went, yeah, I think I'll go to bed.
Probably should. You've had a good sleep then, no wonder you're
exactly. Coffee as well, so it's all good.
Yeah.
We have our first guest of 2025.
We do. Welcome.
Hi.
Would you like to introduce
your name and where
yes,
do you come from?
My name is Sam. Well, technically I come from Kent.
Wow, that's a long way away. Have you travelled today?
Made my way up to Nottingham, then Durham, did a uni and everything there, and then stayed in the northeast, and now I live in Middlesbrough.
Wow. And what does Sam do?
I don't think we have long enough to explain what I do. In a nutshell, what I do is I help overwhelmed people streamline anything.
We need a Sam in our lives.
I love this.
We were just chatting before, and just for context, you know that Catherine, bless her, from MSG Elevate, posted on LinkedIn saying, just had a podcast with Andy and Adam. Everybody needs an Andy, which thank you is a phrase that you coined. Sam then reposted and then said, apparently everybody needs an Andy. I'll let you know. And then reached out to me because she definitely did need an Andy with her emails.
Did you actually need an Andy?
I have an Andy.
Yeah, you have an Andy.
I have an Andy.
Everyone needs an Andy. I always say it.
Absolutely.
How much better is your life by having an Andy? And this is not just blowing smoke his way.
No.
I'd rather not.
No,
anyway,
exactly.
How much better, though, is having an Andy in your life?
So I think a few days after we originally spoke, because originally there was no real kind of...
reason. No.
There was no real kind of speed to it, was there? There was no urgency. And then literally 2 days later, I'm going to say the name, Ionos, just stopped my emails. Didn't tell me it was happening. They clearly knew it was happening. Just stopped my emails.
Did they tell you it was going to stop?
No.
No, just it stopped.
Just it stopped.
Turned off.
Stopped, yes.
Control-Alt-Delete. See,
Hey, it works.
Yeah.
It works.
It works.
And we're considering.
Yeah, and I'm always on the left of the camera as well, so I don't know which way they stand. Anyway, back to that. So your emails just got turned off. Could you get any access to what was there beforehand? Nothing?
Nope.
Just a void?
Hence panic. Can we do this faster, please?
I got an urgent message. Andy, can we talk? And I'm like, yeah, of course.
Fix it.
Yeah, exactly. So luckily we managed to fix it. Mm-hmm. And this week we are migrating Sam over to Microsoft 365. And Teams. By Teams, everybody.
Yeah. Has he said about Teams? Have you heard? Has he given you the Teams chat yet?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Right. So before we get into the beef of your business, I've got something to share.
All right.
So I went into a locally trusted IT partner that may be sitting opposite me into his office, and I was talking about I've changed how my HR systems. I'm looking at just my systems of work, and we're trying to condense everything into a more streamlined system.
You were, yeah.
Ooh.
And I was like looking, I've looked around, and Andy goes, I said, we're trying to do the clocking in, clocking out thing for the staff and the team, so we're recording hours and this, that, and the other. He went, there's an app called Shift in Teams. I was like, is there? Like, because I'm pretty savvy with it. Yeah. I looked through it, couldn't see it. Anyway, I went away and I found it. Alina, what app did you use this morning? Shifts.
Yay!
She used Shifts. And there's a nice button that says clock in.
It does do clock in.
It does do clock in. And then you can press it again. You can add your break.
Yeah.
And then you can click it and again and do it. So I set it all up the other day in all the free time that you have running a business, as you know. And we're now using Shifts in Teams, meaning that I don't need to pay, because all of the other HR systems that I'm looking at, they log holiday, they log the record of the staff, sickness, all that sort of stuff. I'm sorted. I'm sorted because I've got record, I've got all the staff records, I've got all the information, I've got the annual leave entitlement. What more do I need?
You need a Microsoft form linked to a Power workflow that can do and authorize holidays automatically.
Yes.
Okay, I'll set that up for you as well.
There's something called Absentify on Teams, which you can use for holidays.
There you go. Look at this.
I think I'll get my coat.
Welcome to the Sam and Andy podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
Go away, control.
Yeah, exactly. I have no control. But yeah, and it's just because, and I think you can agree with this, you end up being so busy working, trying to get, first of all, you spend all your time trying to get a client in.
Yeah.
Second of all, you get the client and then you go, I need to do the work, do the best job, need to do any amends, need to follow up, then invoice them, then hopefully receive payment, so on and so forth. And then you go, who's next? And you just go on this relentless treadmill, and before you know it, you've grown the business, you're doing more work, and then you're like, hang on, what are my systems that are in place? So moving away from the HR system, which I was paying for as part of a service there, I've actually saved money by already having Teams. So if people are thinking that they don't want to pay the £10 to £15 a month or £12 to £15 a month, whatever it is,
my friend.
I'm making my money back with that in terms of I don't need these other systems. The other thing I've done is move away from Monday.com.
Yes,
which
I
like the platform.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm not throwing it under the bus, but we are now using Planner in Teams.
And it's all part of your subscription.
All part of it. So there
anyway,
we go.
Enough about you.
More about you? No.
So, go for it. Go for it.
Okay. In a sentence, what do you do then? But you've said streamline, but what is that? What is that bit? What does that mean?
So, can I do it in more than a sentence?
Okay, go on then.
So, when I first started the business, there was two facets to it. There was domestic work, which is literally going into people's houses, helping them declutter their stuff, organize it so everything has a home. I think that's the kind of key. Everything has a home. You know where everything goes. Everything gets put back where it goes, and we don't have too much stuff. Then the other side of it is helping businesses streamline, which, to be honest, is kind of the same thing. It's decluttering all those processes and systems and softwares that you don't need, and then making sure everyone knows what everything does. Everything is nice and simple. Standard operating procedures.
Oh, I love that.
I
love a standard operating procedure.
I used to work as a lifeguard, and we also had a EAP, emergency action plan. That would kick
there you go.
So if something happened, somebody is struggling to swim, the EAP, the EAP. We never called it the EAP, it was the EAP. That would kick in instead. 3 blasts of the whistle, lifeguard going in.
Well,
that's what would happen now.
You didn't shout EAP and jump in.
EAP! EAP! No, you'd have to, you wouldn't shout 3 blasts of the whistle. You would in training, but you had to blow your whistle 3 times and chuck yourself in and get after them. Or you could use a throw bag.
Well, there you go.
Or any of the other options that you did. Or you'd wait slightly long enough for someone else to jump in instead. No, you wouldn't do that. You'd be there. You'd absolutely be there. But
no, it sounds perfect to what you're doing, Sam, because as you have just said, Adam, in terms of your business, everybody's running on that treadmill. Yep. Everybody's running so fast, they sometimes don't have the time to stop. And somebody like you can pop in, have a look, and obviously, to you, it's like blindingly obvious, but to the person themselves, it's like, I'm so busy running, I've never seen that.
To be honest, it's a fresh set of eyes that I offer. Yeah. Because you get so, I don't want to say lost, but you get so engrossed in your own business, and it's just what you do, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And then
100%.
somebody comes in and says, well, why are you doing that when that does it? Similarly to how you've got, what did you say, the Teams?
Shifts,
yeah. But I'd already, it all happened at so we had a HR provider, and that service came with it in terms of the HR software. So I was like, well, we'll use that because they can connect into it as well, you see. But now that I don't need that, I was like, right, I'm not just jumping into another software. Do you see, I didn't want to just do that. So I was like, I need to look how we can do this, and as much as possible. And I suppose I'm in the fortunate position where I've got a team of staff where I've actually, onboarding them, I've had to explain the business to them and explain how things work. So that means we've actually got a folder next door, which is our standard operating procedure for this room, for the cameras, for the mixing desk that Alina's sat at now, with pictures and annotations. You'd be so proud. But
it's a beautiful sop.
But you could go, what is my return on investment as a business owner to have a standing, to take the time to write a standing operating procedure? Well, I'd say it's not about return on investment. It's about setting things up correctly and minimising errors in the future from our point of view in terms of making sure the kit's set up correctly.
Yeah.
So do you go into... When do people realise they need your help?
They need a Sam.
Yeah, because obviously I imagine that chaos has ensued so much so, got bigger and bigger. And I mean chaos, that doesn't mean a bad thing. It could just mean the business is busy and you're flying around. So that is happening. Great things, right? The problem is, the busier you are, the less time you have to do with the other things internally. So how far do you see people getting down that road before they go, I need that help?
I don't know if I've ever seen... Well, no, that's a lie. Some people do actively see it themselves. What I've noticed more is that just through conversations with people, they go, oh, yeah, I didn't think about that. Oh, I didn't. Oh, yeah. Yeah, why am I doing that?
Yeah.
So it's...
that dawning moment.
Have you ever asked yourself why you do it?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. But people just kind of... You just build around what you have at the time, don't you? So you start with something that seems simple, and then it becomes a bit more complicated as you grow, and then becomes more complicated. And then the system that once served you really well doesn't serve you anymore. But you know it so well that it's almost kind of ingrained in you, isn't it? And ingrained in the business.
Yeah. Interestingly, we had a similar situation a few weeks back. And it's one that Michelle, bless my wife, who works with us, she will work her way through the problem, and I will always try and automate it.
Yeah.
Automation takes a lot longer in terms of getting there. And Michelle, bless her, will always go, yeah, but it's quicker if I do it. And I'm like, no, it's not. Yeah. But you're taking too long to automate it. I can, and it will, but once I automate it, first thing is I'm like, it works that way forever in a day. Because I've gone click, 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 done, 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 done. So yes, it takes me longer, but by the time I've taken the time to make it longer, it's then repeatable every time, and it's much, much quicker. But it's that initial... Why are you doing that way? Just let me do it because I'm wasting time. And you're like, no, let me automate it.
I think that's the biggest thing I've noticed is I don't work with two people the same. Right, so what you've just described is perfect for you and the size of your business. But if I try to automate something for a single person business, then it's complexity for the sake of complexity, isn't it?
Yes.
So sometimes a spreadsheet, that's all they need. Just need a spreadsheet just to log it, and that's it.
Well, it's about the start point, I
think,
is,
isn't
well,
it?
Because you've got to set your stall out somewhere in terms of whether it's a new business or whether it's a system of work or whether it's... and there's nothing wrong with... It doesn't have to be all singing, all dancing, and doing all the features. In fact, quite often that confuses matters. Yeah. Follow the shifts. I just want something to clock in, clock out, and be really simple and keep a nice, clean record. Doesn't need to be more complicated than that. I saw that process in action the other day. So I went up to Andy's office the other day, and there was 3 or 4, 5 laptops all on the table, lids open, with the various job sheets attached to them, and they were just doing things. And it was like the installs, the updates.
It was all automatic.
I remember when you automated that process, you said, you spent probably the best part of 2 days looking at how to do it. So now when you've got someone going and need a machine with the right updates and installs and everything, you've got scripts that just...
Automated. When I get a brand new customer on board, that process is where Michelle would almost have an argument because she would go, but I know what I'm doing and I can do it within a few hours. It would take me about a day-ish to create all of the scripts and everything to do it for that brand new customer. But then my argument is, and to be fair, Michelle doesn't argue with me, this is me trying to explain it. But after I've taken that day, that customer then says, I want another laptop. And I just go click, click, click. And as you've seen, it just sits there and goes, installing Google Chrome, installing Adobe Reader. And it's all automated. Yeah. And what's brilliant is what you saw yesterday, 5 different customers I've automated it so much that Michelle can open up the sign on, click the script, choose the customer, and then on to the next one, on to the next one, on to the next one. All 5 PCs are just automated.
And you were on a call. Michelle was dealing with an inquiry I had for a client.
Yeah.
You know, it's brilliant. So I can see the power of it, and I think that's there. So in terms of what are the sort of, how do you approach it? So I get in touch with you.
Yep.
And I don't have a standard operating book next door, although you'd be able to find things in our business that, you know, you could streamline things like this. But we don't have a standard operating procedure and things in place. What sort of things would you be looking at from in the first instance? Then what would you be looking at secondary to that? Because I imagine it's not just, oh, you need to do X, Y, and Z, and you walk out the door, right? So what sort of things are you looking for? What are the flags?
Journey,
what are the flags? What are the questions that you're asking? Because I bet you've got to spend a lot of time talking to them to learn and understand. Well, potentially, by the sound of it, ask why they do what they do in the way that they do it.
Because I've always done it that way.
Yeah, exactly.
Stock answer.
Yeah.
So I think the first thing for me is essentially I sit with the person and either go through the process with them.
Right.
Depending on what the business is. If the business is kind of something like what you do where it's onboarding clients, it's like, right, okay, I'm a client, take me through that journey.
Understand.
And then I'd follow it with them. I try not to kind of interrupt too much, but it's kind of, why have you done this?
Yes.
Right, okay, where does that go? Where does that get saved? And I try and kind of essentially map out the current journey. And then it's about kind of, right, well, this is doing the same thing as this. This is, can I just check that this is, am I understanding right that this does this, but this also does this?
Yeah.
So it's building that picture in the first instance. And it's also, if it's a bigger company, if it's more than just one person, it's talking to other people as well and saying, right, what's your opinion of it? Because sometimes the person setting up the systems in the first place, really, really clear on the systems, but then they hand it over and that handover isn't as smooth as they might think it is. So the other person using the system doesn't understand the system, so they're not using it as the original person intended. And obviously that creates issues, which is where a SOP comes in. Very clear instructions, very, very clear, this is what we do. So it's very much about building that picture, and then it's identifying the redundancies, identifying ways, like, for example, shifts, things like Monday and other similar things of how it can be streamlined. And then what I tend to do is set things up to a point and then let them run with it and then check back in and say, right. I think a big thing I've learned is accountability, because you can say all of these things. It'd be great if you did this. It'd be great if you did that. It'd be great. But people actually doing it,
well,
you don't have
you've
time.
Just referenced Monday, and
Yeah.
I'm like, I've done 4 of those things and I haven't updated my, which I will be. I've got admin time in this afternoon to do stuff, but that's the hardest battle I find running my business. I'm in the fortunate position where I've got a fantastic team that, and I was again thinking about this. I listen to a lot of audiobooks. I'm listening to one at the moment that was put onto by James Carver. Big shout out, because he said, have a go at listening to Turn This Ship Around. And it's about submarine captain who was on a really well functioning submarine, had it all working really well. And then he got put on this one that was like the lowest performing in the fleet. And it's going through the process of how he does it. The problem I have, it's really good.
Yeah.
The problem I've got, I'm listening on Audible, is he talks about something. It triggers thoughts in my head. I then start thinking about it. And then I'm like, what's he just said in the last 2 minutes?
Because I've missed it because I was too busy thinking about how I could implement that.
But in reality, that's me taking time. I think some of it is taking time to think about it in the first place.
Yeah.
That's where your job comes in straight away in my book, because, you know, it does get to a point where you need to figure that out. And actually, you're better off just having someone else come in and look at it and figure it out. And then the other thing is actually executing on it. And what I wanted to say about the standard operating procedure is, people think it's a really dusty thing in terms of, it's a file, it sits there, it's like a risk assessment, all important documentation. Yeah. All it's doing is outlining how you operate. So in theory, no one should have a question on what you're doing and how you do it, because in theory, that document should be able to answer it. So if you follow the instructions in there, we've got screen grabs of all of the kit on that desk over there.
Yep.
you should be able to get to the point to hit record on a podcast and it looks correct. But whether people then look at the file, whether people then record the data is a totally different matter. How do you then embrace that then? So you get the systems in place, but actually the system is only good if it's being used, right?
Oh, absolutely.
I think that's where the kind of accountability comes in. There's an element of kind of quality checking as well. So after a month going back in, how has it worked? How is it? And again, talking to all of those people, not just the person that I worked with most, and saying, right, is it working? How is it working? Like a standard operating procedure, in my opinion, is something that should be regularly checked and updated. So if there's an issue, if something's not clear, you feed back and say, well, actually, no, this button doesn't exist here anymore because it's been updated, so it's now here. We need to do a new screenshot. We need to update the document. And I think that's a kind of touching on what both of you have said. I don't think people appreciate that it might not have a direct return on investment, but actually, bigger picture, you're going to save so much time.
Oh, gosh, yes.
And therefore saving money.
Yeah.
So how is that not return on investment? By kind of investing that time early and then reaping the rewards after.
Again, not to come back on shifts too much, but I took the time. You said something and I went, I need to look at that.
Yeah.
And I, on an evening, took a moment to just go, look at it now.
Yeah.
I need to look at it. And actually, that's saved me money already.
Yeah.
Because I've just took a bit of time of my. It would have been easy. In fact, it would have took me the same time to sign up for a platform for a year.
Yeah.
And pay £10 to £20 a month. I'm already paying
13,
whatever it is for Teams a month. And instead of just going, I'll just get that to sort it out. Right, there's logins, away you go.
Yeah.
I'd still have to set it up. I'd still have to do all that. So I just took the time to look internally, educate myself a little bit, and do that. And I think maybe that's part of the problem. Because the biggest challenge I had setting up a business is no one told me how to do it.
Nope.
I didn't know about it. I knew about accounting. I knew what tax was. I didn't know what corporation tax as a word meant before I set up a limited company. I didn't know what that meant in terms of legalities, what a limited company meant. So there's a whole amount of learning that you have to do before you can actually go, hey, you pay me.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think it's very easy to go, because as a business owner, what you do is you've got this skill, right?
Yeah.
You've got this job, but actually you spend so much time doing the stuff that isn't the thing that you're actually selling. So if just use photography as an example, it's all the bookings, the advertising, the back and forth of your men's. So I think you get very quickly focused on delivering your product and doing it. I'd also say, from your point of view, like it sounds similar into my approach in marketing. Do you know when you're saying you're asking questions, the customer journey?
Yeah.
So do you look at that as well from like say if someone's got a product or a service that they're selling, do you often look at that and see how the customers interact with it, engage with it?
Yeah. So I think everyone that I've worked with, I've essentially either mimicked or been a customer and gone through that journey, because things like if the website isn't streamlined, if the customer can't use the website very well, or the website's not clear, you've lost a load of money there because people are just going to disengage from it.
Very true.
So things like that. So what I try to do is kind of almost build little reports about different things. So it might be a report about the customer journey as a whole and how I felt that it went. It might be a report about the website. Maybe I would change this. The colours don't quite sit right on top of each other. I mean, I'm not a marketing person, but you can kind of, it's more as a customer.
You can come from it from I'm a customer. I log onto your website. I don't even know how to call you. There's no call to action button.
Yes.
There's nothing. I look at it. I'm like, that's fine, but how do I get into? And most people, as we say, if after about a few minutes you're like, right, fine, move on.
I think a couple of things on there. I've had inquiries come through our office line because people want to ring the office through a Google business listing. Now that could go to a mobile phone, if that makes sense. But the other one, I had a customer come on who they got in touch through the form in the end, but they were like, I was looking for your phone number to give you a ring because you just wanted to speak to somebody.
Yeah.
You don't have it on your website. That's when we were having issues with the VoIP phones.
Yeah.
So I deliberately had to take the number off because if they're ringing it, it was dead. So I took the number off to avoid that experience happening. So I was on that, but when we got it fixed, obviously it went straight back on. So it's been interesting how you can have all singing, all dancing funnels on websites. Actually, sometimes what people want to pick up the phone. The other thing I'd say is in marketing, it's probably a good thing that you don't have that, because what I see when people sometimes confuse, in my opinion, aesthetics with marketing. We get requests for, I want no text on the website. I just want pictures, titles, little bits of words because it looks nice. And I'm like, you're not telling the search engines what you do.
It can't look at the photographs on it.
So I don't see that being a bad thing, if that makes sense. Because you could look at it and go, you haven't got enough text on your website. I spend quite a lot of my time telling people, you need more text. You know, but it's because you look at the big brands that have got search ranking and stuff where they can just do like one little bit of grey text in the middle of a white screen, and that's
because they've already built it. They've already put in that work and done all of that. I think one of the things to pick up on there is Google Business Profile. So many people don't realize that it's a thing and how important and how powerful it is. Because that's the first thing that I do. Google them.
Yeah, absolutely.
See what you can find.
We've had this conversation so many times where a customer, I don't need a website. Yes, you do. No. Word of mouth, I'm like, no. Because unfortunately, the first thing, who's Hubspoke? Who's sorted by Sam? Google. Oh, it don't even exist. Switch off. Move on. So yeah, I agree with you. I've got a really interesting question for you. How on earth did you realise you were good at this?
That's a good point, Were you at school and you're like, when I grow up, I want to just sort people's messes out? Ironically.
There we go. So my entire life, I've just been somebody that's organised. I'm one of those people that if there's a stack of papers, I need to just tee them off and kind of organise them. And my brain just automatically kind of looks around any room and thinks, oh, why is that there? Why don't they move this? Why don't they do this? What's this? What's happening? And so I wanted to do maths. I was very mathsy, very good at maths, found it very easy. And then I went to do a pretend lecture at Warwick University. And I was like, this isn't maths. Because at university level, it just changes into abstract
theoretical
madness. I think most people that do maths end up in kind of computing and that side of things. So one of my teachers said engineering. I was like, okay, great. And in hindsight, engineering's perfect for me because it's optimizing and it's streamlining.
There you go. Never thought of it like that.
Yeah,
it is.
And then I did a PhD as well. That was different. It wasn't really organising. It wasn't really
different.
It was an experience.
Let's put it down to that.
Yes. Then I went into teaching for 5 years. I feel as though a lot of it was kind of not handed to me, but it was kind of, do you want to do this? And I was like,
the next logical step kind of thing.
So was it teaching what level?
So it was teaching foundation level, which is essentially A level, to international students over in Stockton. So they were coming from all different places and wanted to go to Durham Uni, but they didn't have either the level or the correct qualifications to get into an English university.
Right.
So I was essentially teaching A-level physics. I
did 6 weeks of A-level physics. Mm-hmm. We started with space.
Right.
I wish we hadn't, because my brain couldn't. I was questioning the meaning of life every time we did a physics lesson when it was 10 to the 6 of distance, and I was like, nope. So I moved on to biology. I couldn't. My brain couldn't handle it.
Space is not for me.
Yeah, it didn't help. That was the first thing. If it was like throwing a cricket ball at a certain angle, I'd be away with it. Yeah. The space thing, just lost me straight away. So hats off to you teaching physics.
My partner loves space stuff. He loves alien stuff. He's not a conspiracy theorist, but he loves like learning about it and that kind of. And I'm kind of like, there's too many issues with our world.
Absolutely.
I don't want to look any further, because I would end up being one of those people who, in a whiteboard in a room, trying
to crack it.
So after teaching,
so after teaching, I actually just stopped teaching.
Where's Sam today?
Just mid-sentence.
Yeah.
No, just
Mid-sentence.
mid-sentence, walked out the room.
Absolutely. Where's the teacher going? She's quit.
Yeah.
It was a planned.
All right, okay.
It was a planned thing.
Ours was funnier.
Financially, I was very lucky that I could just leave.
Right.
I did have you need another job to get into, and I was like, do I? And then there was a company over in Stokesley that I wanted to work with, and spent a lot of time trying to work with them. And actually, when I look back, I pitch sorted by Sam, and they didn't want that. They weren't looking for that at the time, so that didn't work out. And I just kind of thought, well, what do I actually want to do? And in the time off, we did the North Coast 500.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it was the best. Oh, yeah. But kind of after that, before that, I would go to my sister's and clear out my sister's wardrobe. And
I've just bought those clothes. You don't need them.
In the bin.
essentially, yeah. But another friend said, I've got a project for you. And I was like, okay, yeah. And she turned up with this massive, I think 2 or 3 massive boxes of Lego.
Yeah.
And said, can you sort them into the original sets?
Wow.
No way.
There's a challenge.
And I was like, sure. So I spent days and days just sat with this box of Lego. And I think it would be most people's nightmare.
Absolutely.
It is. I was saying to my eldest, just play with. He was like, I'm bored. I was like, mate, you've stopped playing with Lego. He's like, I've got no more models to build. Like, do you know with the instructions?
Yeah.
I was like, but you've got a box. Like, be creative. Do that. And I was like, if only I could work out how to piece together the ones that have been dismantled back into the. I couldn't imagine how you've done that.
I don't really know how I did it. It took a long, long time. But I was like, I'm really enjoying
I'd say that's
this.
harder than physics and maths
space.
at university and space put together.
Oh, gosh.
I'm a jigsaw puzzle person. I'm a Lego person. I like building things, but I'm not a creative person. If you gave me a box of Lego and said build a house, it would literally be like that.
Yeah.
It would be structurally sound.
If you're listening, that was just a square.
Oh yeah, sorry.
No, it's all right. We're on camera as well.
Yeah,
but if you're listening, it was a square.
What sound does a square make?
That's the one. There we go. So yeah, carry on.
Whereas if you give me instructions and say go from this to this, or
improve these instructions.
Yeah.
I bet you're a nightmare with IKEA furniture. Do you like we could do this better? You ever looked at it and gone, I can put this unit together better than this?
Sometimes. But I think IKEA's just got it nailed, haven't they? They've done it so many times. Like, if you want something cheap, you can get something cheap. If you want something really high quality and pay for it, great. They've just
if you want
nailed
an
it.
Adam, it's a shag pile rug.
Right.
I just like it because it's
okay.
Yeah,
So then you managed to do all the Lego.
Yeah. So and I just did kind of random organisy things for random people, and then I thought, can I just do this for work? And it started off as a bit of a joke, really, and then it became a job.
Wow.
And I don't think there was a specific moment where it was this is what I'm going to do. It just kind of happened,
evolved into it.
So did it continue being like people's houses and homes? And think that's some of the stuff you've sort of described there. Is that where? So obviously, I mean, I see the value in that. We've all got stuff in our lofts and in cupboards and stuff, and you just come in and put stuff on the side, and But at what point did that transition to business?
So the first business that I worked with is an events company over in Bishop Auckland called Bacchanalia. Nice. I don't know if you've heard of Bishop Auckland's Christmas Town.
I have heard of that.
Yeah, so they're the brains and the kind of the people behind that. So
I always feel for event companies because they end up sitting behind the wonderful events that they do, and it's not always clear and present who's done it.
So with them, it was literally starting with, okay, it was a friend of a friend, and originally it was just him in the company, and I was kind of like, can I come in and just do some bits and just see if I can help you?
Yeah.
And it started with, building templates. Started with that standard operating procedure and just continually going back to that. So I worked with them for, maybe six months to a year.
Right, okay.
And then it became clear that what I do is not really a permanent thing. It's more kind of go in, make the changes, and then kind of
gradually make more of a mess again, and then you go and correct it. I'm being facetious.
No. That's what happens. Unfortunately, that's what it is.
There you go.
So I did what I could there.
Yep.
And then kind of check back in occasionally, but it was. I don't really know where there was a kind of a tipping point, but especially just before Christmas this year, I realised going into people's houses with all the dust and all the kind of different kind of smells and things, I think I'm just very sensitive to that. So before Christmas, I was so ill.
Oh, bless you, right.
So that over the Christmas break was where I really decided, right, I really need to move more into the business stuff. It's not necessarily that I enjoy it more. I think it's more different.
Yes,
because each business is different. Whereas houses,
you're not going to have a standing operating procedure to live in your house.
No.
Are you as such?
Unpack the bags. Put the bag in the back drawer.
Yeah. Adam, you put the knife in the dishwasher the wrong way round.
Yes.
Oh, you didn't follow the SOP, did you?
Yeah. Oh, we have loads of unwritten SOPs in our household.
Exactly.
Don't get me started on the washing machine.
Exactly.
We're in shades of. Do you know you have your whites and your darks?
Yeah.
Hi, wifey, I love you. But sometimes, in fact, a blue shirt. I've got a blue shirt with bigger white squares. That was in the whites load the other day, and I was like, hang on a minute. If I did that, I'd be getting.
Oh yes.
This is not on the standard operating procedure. It's a contentious issue in our household. So I basically do washing. I'm happy to do washing, but I've gradually lost the ability to actually get things in the washing machine without being challenged. So I leave the white unless they're my own, because I've just given up trying to. I need like color charts to. Well, if it's off grey and that can sometimes it can go in the dark. Sometimes you put it in the colours, and sometimes you can put it. I'm just like, these are not real. Oh, sorry, I'm having a rant.
No, honestly, it's so.
I could do with a colour chart. Could you make me a colour chart, please?
Well, that's one of the things that I find really difficult going into someone's home, because normally it's the female within the house that kind of reaches out to me or that kind of brings me in. But you have to make sure everybody in the house is on board. Even within our house, my partner. So I moved in with him.
Yeah.
And originally he was a doors closed. Every single door in the house was closed.
Right.
And I was like, I don't like this. This is weird. But I never realised I didn't like it until I moved in with him. And he would go around shutting all the doors and I would go around opening all the doors. Because I like to see what's in. I like all the light to kind of move through the house. Yeah. We are now a doors open household.
Well done. Congratulations.
It works.
Yeah. I got very quickly introduced because I'd been like living and traveling and all sorts. It was like, don't dry your hands on that. That's the hand towel. I was like, ooh, we've got a hand towel. I was like, okay, I better use the hand towel. It's funny how you do things and you just sort of learn. You just develop your own habits. Yeah. That's a podcast episode in itself. When you move in with somebody else, it's brilliant in terms of, I love it in terms of that discovery on how people do things. The remote control in our household was called the remote. In my wife's, it was called the Oofa-doofa. So if it's past the Oofa-doofa, I was like, what?
Yeah. You know, the spatula that you use to flip your eggs in our house, Michelle calls it an up-dip flip.
I mean, that's what
there
it does.
There we go. But that's just a little example of imagine you then walking into somebody's house.
Yeah.
Going, actually, it's a flippy-uppy-downy.
So from a business point of view then, are you now finding that more and more businesses are reaching out because of word of mouth, because as you quite rightly said, I assume you will go into a company. There must be a point when you're going, I've done as much as I can. Yeah. I have to walk away. Otherwise, I'll be a permanent part of your fixture, which you don't want. But is also picking up on what Adam said, is there an element of 6 months later? You know, I can see the TV episode. Yeah. 6 months later, Sam goes back into the business and goes, what the?
It's like kitchen nightmares.
Yeah. I don't know if I've really got to that kind of 6 months later point with a lot of people, but yeah, I tend to kind of check in as my best practice, my SOP as working with people. So most people, it's kind of like a week later, then a month later, then 6 months later, and there's that kind of like exponential curve. Is that?
Yeah, no, that I must admit that must be right, because obviously as well, if people are taking on board what you're saying, they will have grown the business. They may have entered into a different sector, a different market, and hopefully, if your wording, like the person sat there going, "We need a SOP."
Yeah.
Sam said we need a SOP for this, so they naturally take on board your process, and hopefully, fingers crossed and touch wood, they are just naturally better at doing those things.
I find that a lot with people. Once I kind of go in and start doing that, it comes a bit more naturally, because people are more mindful of the processes that they're setting up. They're more mindful as they're doing a process. They're like, oh, actually, why am I doing this?
Correct. Yeah.
So sometimes it's just my presence just helps.
Yeah, I think it's probably accountability is probably a nice way to summarize that. Like, because if I was getting you in, I'm paying you. You're then asking me I'm then accountable to you. I'm, obviously I'm paying you for a service, and technically you could go, well, actually you're accountable to the person that's paying you. But actually I think you find that, especially with business owners, it's about if they have accountability to someone else. So I say, oh, Andy, you look after my IT, and he goes, why are you doing this like this? I can be like, I'm now accountable to answer you. And I think there's a huge amount to be said for that. In terms of, if you were looking at a small business, you've done all your questions, your answers. In your experience, what are the things what's the low hanging fruit in terms of your line of work? What are you looking to change first? And I know it's different, so talking in general terms, obviously.
General terms, I think it is things like implementing something like Monday, or utilizing Teams more, having a look at whatever it is that there's
Correct answer. No, I'm joking. No, systems,
the kind of the core of the business, and utilizing whatever that is. I mean, I don't want to say the G word, but if people are Google users,
that's fine. I've got loads of users that are Google users.
Oh, right, okay, great.
Oh no, it's great.
And we
it really is
Google
great.
Analytics console.
Interestingly, and I'm really sorry to interrupt. Interestingly, I've got a company that was 100% Google. They gained a very large customer, and they now are moved to Microsoft. And purely because the large customer went, you keep sending me Google Docs, and yes, they're compatible, but they're not 100% compatible. Yeah. It's really annoying. And bless
it's really annoying, I'd imagine.
Yes, but it's to the point where this customer then went, I'm sorry, I need to jump, Andy. And that was purely driven by the bigger customer going, stop sending me Google Docs.
Yeah.
But there are other customers that it works exceptionally well for. So some of my charities, RSAC in Darlington, they use Google Space, and it's wonderful for what they want.
I think it's things like knowing what's available within it. Like Teams is incredibly powerful, and Google does its best.
Yeah, it does.
And but it has some really good features that people aren't aware of, like Google Tasks, a to-do list, and you can set dates, and then it pops up in your calendar, and it's there. Yeah. Why wouldn't you do that?
Absolutely right.
Using a calendar, a digital calendar, why wouldn't you do that? Kind of color coding your calendar to say, right, this is personal, this is business.
Why wouldn't you do that?
Why wouldn't you do that?
Categories in Microsoft Outlook, exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you?
100%.
Folders in your emails, why wouldn't you do that? Getting rid of spam emails, why wouldn't you do that?
Because it's too much hard work, Sam.
Yeah.
And that's where you come along to say, but these are the benefits of doing it. Yeah, exactly.
And there are certain things where I will set it up for people to take away that initial hard work. But it's that kind of teaching them to use it and teaching them the benefits.
And I think that's probably the key thing out of all of it. The key thing with any system is if you're not using it correctly in the first place, you're not. The experience won't be the best thing. Yeah. So if you're not taking a moment to, I've got an email, I will now move that to the folder. I know you can set rules and things up, but I'll now move that. I'll now do this. I will now, So sometimes there's always an element of work, and I think that's the digital equivalent of walking in your house and just throwing your bag of shopping on the side.
No, it's an interesting one, Adam, because we've got, again, won't mention the exact name, but Windows, hate it. Windows user, I hate it. I can't get on with it. I've been told that the Mac's the best thing. Jump to a Mac. I hate it. And it's down to what you're saying. It's like, it's the programs that you are using, but you just don't, with the greatest of respect, don't understand them. A program will only do, garbage in, garbage out. So unless you know how to use it, so he went back to the windows, and then I went, watch your frustration. Showed me, and the first time I went, well, don't do it that way, do it this way. And he was like, oh my goodness. So, but back to what you're saying, bringing it back on point, showing them how they can use that allows them to go, the dawning moment, and you realise that. But sometimes people are just so, like this picture, so busy, but he jumped from a Windows to a Mac. It was a bloody expensive jump, I tell you that.
It is. And that's the other side. But then I'm like, so I'm on Mac and Windows.
Yeah.
I'm on, this is where this popped up this morning, Windows 10, which is all up to date. But I had this notice this morning. We stopped supporting this in October this year.
End of life.
I was like, Andy's going to tell me off.
No,
but it's because of TDM.
No, absolutely.
TPM, whatever it is. I don't know.
Trusted
Threads. What is it?
Threads. X.
What is it? Trusted
platform management, I think, module, trusted platform module. It does the BitLocker.
Exactly.
It basically means that when you boot up the hardware, it's more secure and Windows embeds itself into it.
Right.
And it allows it to Windows to be more secure because you cannot get to the chip on board.
Right.
That is none of the machines in there, by the way. But it's just, it's like...
It's a big thing coming, so we're doing a big task at the moment.
I know I've got to do it. But then it's like, great, there's another thing I need to do on top of everything else. You know, and that's how it is. But in reality, with your home, maintenance, and everything like that, you've got to put the time in.
Yep.
I think, what you're doing is actually so important for businesses. I spend a lot of time working with different businesses.
Yeah.
The reason why me and Andy work together is because he needed help and I needed help. So I was like, I need to migrate my email. I need
help with my social media.
Yeah, and I was like, can you just sort that out for me?
Can you just do this for me?
Yeah. Can you sort this out?
that.
So we're like, right, okay, and that's when we started working together commercially. I'll add.
Yeah.
So it's not just us patting each other on the back. No, there's commercial transactions going on, and it's a working relationship. But we also work together in other clients. I messaged you about, I need an idea on what it would be for an email migration.
Correct.
Ballpark, because the answer to that, I don't know. Yeah. But I'm going to tell them this is the range. And this is what we're dealing with in terms of how many accounts and this, that, and the other. Because I would come into a business and I would be facing IT problems.
Right.
Which then I was having to pick up and deal with or try and fix. And I was like, I don't need this. I need Andy to do this, you know. And that's
it was also detracting from the main reason you were in there.
Yeah, I'd spend the whole time actually talking about the IT problems they were having rather than talking about how... And then they'll go, so how many customers have we got? I'm like, well, because your computers don't work.
Yes.
There's not, it's like that sort of thing. Yeah. So I think outsourcing elements, working in partnership, we're big in partnership.
Trusted partnership.
I think it's so important.
Yeah.
So... Sorry.
No, please.
So, why should somebody come to you?
Yeah.
I think is a really... Because ultimately, the why... We've got some ideas, but what's the difference that they would see? This isn't me grilling you. What's the before and after? What's the eureka moment? What's the peace of mind element?
I think for me, the biggest thing is time saving, and it's that overwhelm, because society today, there's so many things to be overwhelmed about. Have you posted on social media today? Have you... I'm overwhelmed thinking about the overwhelmness.
That's a good one.
There's a point. I haven't recorded. Carry on. I'm just going to. I'm doing a little story. I have posted on social media about the Take a Break podcast. I'm just going to capture a little video while you're talking.
Ooh.
Good.
But overwhelmness, totally agree.
So it's my whole ethos is reducing overwhelm and saving people time, and inevitably both of those things will make you more money.
Oh, absolutely.
For me, I'm not financially driven. I'm very much about helping people to feel better, helping people to feel less stressed, less overwhelmed.
Yeah, exactly.
And if I can save them money during that, great. But that's not my kind of...
Well, no, if you think about it in terms of our relationship, Sam, you obviously contacted me about the emails first. Yeah. But then when we discussed commercially, quite rightly, you were like, okay, but I actually don't want to be with IONOS. And IONOS are quite good in terms of what they are for that. Some people are absolutely perfect.
Very good marketing campaign.
No, very good
marketing campaign.
But then you said, well, in our relationship, Andrew, can you take over the website for me? And I was like, yes. Will that cost me extra? No. And that's all about allowing me to take all that stress off you to say, let me just get everything in order for you. You don't need to worry about your emails or your website. Job done. So very similar for you in a company when you go and say, it's not financially driven. I could have charged you a lot more than what I did, but it's not the point.
Please don't.
I won't.
You won't.
I think for me, I sit outside of lots of like IT. It's very obvious what that is.
Yes.
Marketing, very well.
No. It is not.
It is not
Kind
obvious.
of.
But the example I've been using lately is I was at somewhere and they went, could you tell me where the toilet with the toilet roll is? Right? And I'm like, that shouldn't be a question.
That really
That's
shouldn't
marketing.
Yes.
You walk in, there's no toilet roll, bad experience.
Yes.
Yeah. We're at toilet roll level in terms of marketing. Like in terms of customer journey, we're from, you walk into a hotel and if the receptionist doesn't go, hello, or they go, what?
Yeah, exactly.
You're going to be like, well, this isn't very good, is it? So marketing is a rough one, actually.
Yeah. Let's not go on that one.
No, but from a process,
Absolutely.
if you walked in and you got that, your first thing would be greeted badly.
Yes.
Yes.
Staff look harassed. So the question needs to be asked, what's going on with them? So whilst I say that's marketing, it's actually just business operations.
Yeah.
And the reason why, we provide business operations and consultancy because it's where does marketing end and good customer service start.
Yeah.
Exactly.
When, because you're reliant on all of that in order to essentially sell the product. Otherwise, why would the big brands like Virgin and things, we've got the red colour. They wouldn't bother with the red colour everywhere. They wouldn't want you to feel like you're in that environment and you're around that brand. So it's so important to get right.
Yeah. I can confirm that there was toilet roll when I went.
Good.
There you go. It wasn't here. It wasn't here. But do you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
No, definitely.
It's that sort of thing. But that would equally relate to you going,
Yeah.
well, why is there no toilet roll?
Yeah.
What is going on? And it's the toilets are so overlooked in terms of every establishment you go to. Put it this way, you will always remember if there's a bad set of toilets in there. It's so important to get right. And they are like the most least priority. What I will do is Abu's Indian restaurant up on Duke Street. When I was shooting some video with him and he said, we've got the best toilets in Darlington. And he's like, do you want to go and see them? They are impressive. Yeah. They are decorated absolutely spectacularly. Okay. Lots of gold. But they put the effort into it.
Definitely.
Yeah. Well, it makes a big difference, doesn't it? Yeah. If you go in and there's, for example, if they've got like the hand towels all stacked neatly in a basket, it's just nice.
Yeah.
And it's the things that people remember.
Instead of like a pile of half-used ones, and you're like, what am I right?
Yeah.
It's process though, isn't it?
Exactly.
And where things go.
Yeah, true.
And I think it runs through every element of business. And I think, I don't know, would you describe yourself as a snagger as well? Like, it kind of sounds like snagging.
Yeah.
I suppose there's got to be an element of that, right?
Yeah, I think, definitely. I think it's almost just that fresh set of eyes going in and picking up on things that you've missed, really. But
have we missed anything in this room today? I'd be interested to know. If anything crossed your mind, because it probably would have if you were in there.
The only thing that I keep looking at is
I keep doing that every time. It droops like heck.
Pointing at the curtain. So that is me trying to find a rail. I think I've come up with a solution to suspend the curtain. So the reason why the curtain is there is so that you don't have people staring at you on the balcony because there's a window behind there. Yeah. So there's a bit of privacy. Yep. The other reason is also eye line. Yeah. So you're not getting distracted and things by people walking past. But you're absolutely right. People on the cameras can't see that.
Yep.
Yeah.
So there is an element, just like we've got cable covers on the floor, there's an extra mat there that covers extra wiring. And there's wiring behind you. But yeah, you're absolutely right. And that irritates me. So I am going to look at that today.
Yeah, good.
I think I think I need pipe and drape is what I need.
Yeah.
So but it's actually
it does its job, let's put it that way. And I think now, can I ask there's an interesting one, Sam. How, when you come to a business, can you see something that technically that does its job, Aesthetically, though, it annoys me every time I sit here.
Yeah.
But it does.
It annoys me, in truth.
Yeah.
That's where it comes into the priorities, the budget, and how much it's affecting day-to-day life. I mean, if it's on your mind every single day, it's probably something that should be tackled.
Yeah. So when that was put in, I was also investing in the kit. So budget played a part in that. So these are photography backdrops I already have. There's a rail there, and there's an extra C stand that it's connected to.
Yeah, right.
All secure, not going to fall over.
Yes.
But I've had to clip some together because I'm like, turns out this wall was bigger than I realised in terms of how far I had to go.
And technically, you are right in terms of that, because we've sat here when that curtain wasn't there, and as you're talking,
Yeah.
Where was I? Sorry, I've waved at. Sorry, I was waving at somebody there because that's what it distracts you. Whereas it's now functionally doing its job.
So it functionally does its job, but I agree in terms of when you see it. Yeah, absolutely.
Aesthetically,
there we go.
Yeah.
But I think the key thing is about all this, and I think I've shown it there, you've got to be honest with yourself.
Yes.
That is not you attacking me.
Yeah.
And actually, the question is, does often people take things like that you've just given me there? I haven't taken that as criticism, personal criticism. It's criticism of the space. I want this space to be nice for everybody that comes in. Yeah. How often do you get for the defence to come up? If that makes it, for the walls to, I did that because I didn't lean in with that. I said, well, actually, we're investing in kit. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
The rail at the top, you can't see it on camera. The rail at the top, it just bows. It's hard to avoid. So how often do people defend? Have you had that happen?
What I've noticed is if I instigate the kind of relationship, it almost always ends but that happens.
Yeah.
If people come to me and say, Sam, I'd really like your help, I'd really like to kind of work together, it does happen. But I think what I try and do is I don't go in and say, right, this, and this.
No.
That's where that kind of building the relationship, building the kind of trust. I don't want to big myself up too much, but I feel like I do that quite quickly with people. I feel like people kind of settle around me relatively quickly.
Yep.
I
would say I have.
Yeah.
To give a
thank you.
impartial view.
And it's also about picking up on people as well.
Yeah.
Some people need the very black and white. There is an issue here.
Yes.
Some people need have you thought about this? And I think equally with this, most people are already aware.
Yeah.
And it's a case of bringing it more to the forefront.
Yes.
I was having dinner with a friend yesterday. She works with she's a counsellor, but she also does a lot of work with building confidence within women.
All right. Okay.
Shout out to Claire Ball in South Shields.
Hi, Claire in South Shields.
She I've worked with her kind of domestically, and she's one of those people that we've kind of done a bit, and then she's gone away and just kind of run with it, and her family have all kind of adopted it. And it's really nice because she sends me messages, look what we've done, and I'm like, yay. But yesterday at dinner we were talking, and I don't think she'll mind me saying, but she was essentially saying that she's got so many things in her head because she's got lots of facets of the business.
Yes.
So she's got this with the kind of one-to-one counselling, she's got this with the kick, she's got this with this bit, and all these different things, and she wants to take that in that direction, and this needs to happen for that to happen, and this needs to happen. And she was like, can I just have a bit of your time just to get it out of my head
brain dump it,
and get it in some sort of order? And I think that's a big thing in the initial bit, is that brain dump as well, because not only is it the things you can see, it's the stuff that's knocking around in people's heads. Somebody else who I was on a program with, he was talking about that, and I said, well, have you used something like Trello or Monday or equivalent,
absolutely.
just to, not as a like job management system, but just a place to dump stuff, so that it's out of your head, and then you can come back to it and you know where it is, and you don't have to hold it all the time, because I think that's what a lot of people do, and where the overwhelm kicks in as well.
Absolutely.
Is you've got all these things.
Yeah.
Just put them somewhere. It might be a bit of paper. It might be.
Sorry, you just brought back a mate. I've got a real example. My mum works in the business.
Right.
When she first came into it, she's like, "What, Adam? What jobs have we got coming in? Like seriously, what's going on?" I'm like, "We've got loads of work, like defensive. Yeah, we've got loads of work." She went, "What do you mean?" I went, "Right, I'll show you now." So I went over to the table, got a pad of post-it notes, and on each post-it note, I wrote a job going, "We've got this going on here, we've got this going on here, and potentially this is what's going to come in, and this is there, and this is there." I filled the table with post-it notes, and my mum went, "This is absolute madness because I can't see any of this until you did that, and it's all in your head."
Yeah.
She went, and I then like took a breath and went, all right. Like,
fair point.
And I realised at that point, I need a lot of the business, Alina, the team, they can't see it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, if it's in here, so I'm like, I've got to get it out. So that's where we get standing operating procedures for the kit.
Yeah.
That's where we know how to store data correctly and this, that, and the other. And then we've got a board now for if someone gets in touch, goes on the board.
Yeah.
And equally, funnels of, it doesn't just come to me, it comes to our inquiries inbox and we deal with it that way.
Yeah. There's somebody that I'm working with at the moment, and he's very much kind of, but why don't people know this? Like talking about his staff.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, did you tell them? He's like, yeah, I told them when they started. but have you told them again? Have you written it down somewhere? Have you?
Yeah.
Have you measured it? Have you checked in? Have you seen how it goes? Yeah.
No. Do you think I should? Might help.
Yeah, it might help.
Because people take for granted that everyone can see what's going on in their head, and it's not the case at all.
I find it interesting that you're explaining a tiny element of when Resilient, and to a certain extent yourself, Adam, get involved. Me and Adam, we constantly talk about trusted partners.
Yeah.
And we constantly talk about the business, bless them. They're always at a point where I go, I can do my marketing myself. I can do my IT myself. But I always turn around to eventually when a customer contacts me and it's like, why are you thinking that it's cheaper than instead of me? You know, and if I, bless you, Sam, if I take that consideration without going into what costs you're paying, I pitched at you a price that you went, why aren't I giving you my IT?
Yeah.
Because it's easier. But in people's minds, they always go, yeah, but I'm paying that money out. Yeah. And I'm going, no, and we've said this before, I have a customer, very nice customer, he's a lawyer. And we all know how much lawyers are on per hour. And that was the conversation I had with him going, okay, I would have charged this much an hour. And I would have fixed it within an hour. How long did it take you? 4 hours. Okay, there's your 4 hours. And he just went, okay, fair point, Andy, where do I sign? But they don't realise it until somebody like you comes along and goes, what are you doing that for?
I think anyone running a business and is scaling a business or getting, or the business, if they're a single person running a business, I think they need to look at, some people don't want staff and some people don't want to expand, that's fine. But when they get busy, it's still about time management and doing all the stuff around the business that you have to do. I'm almost like, you need a time management course in order to, or qualification in order to run a business effectively. The more that we do, the thing that I focus on the most is what time I have available and the ability to focus my attention on the tasks that I need to focus on.
Can I add to that, focus on the tasks that you're good at doing?
Yeah.
You didn't need to do this thing over there. You didn't need to go along and fill the photocopier or set up new Adam Coleman.
One thing I'm doing at the moment, we've got client WhatsApp groups where if they're on something, they can take a quick picture and put it in their WhatsApp group for the social media. We do that. The team are in it and pick it up and we can post it. Fantastic. I don't need to be in that.
No. Because otherwise your phone's going bing, bing.
My phone's going bing all the time. Bing. And it's not just bing. I've got business owners ring me and this, that, and the other. So I'm like, I need to... Because it draws you into...
Of course it does.
It goes ping, and someone goes, what is it? It's just a photo. And I'm like, but then I'm like, are the client being looked after? Are they being this? Are they that? I know they are. I trust my team, and they are doing a fantastic job.
And I bet you also go, I would have taken it a centimetre to the left.
And it's like, all of that diverts my attention.
Yeah, it does.
So that's why I'm saying attention and time, two different things, and how you apply them. So I'm trying in the process of, I'm doing it, in the process of removing myself out of that level. And I'm having a chat with them saying, I just can't be in it.
No, exactly, Adam.
My attention ends up in the wrong place. You'd rather,
But also being who the person you are, and I think I can talk for all three of us, in terms of what you do, you have delegated that job. You, probably the same as me, I would have given that job to Dan, who works with me, and I'm going, there you go, Dan, do that. Now, I know I probably would have done it a different way, in my eyes, better and quicker, but at the same time, I'm going, did the job get done? Did the customer complain or did he go fine? Did it take twice as long? Yes, but I didn't have to do it.
Yeah, and sometimes it's creative. Everyone has different creative views in terms of that's the other problem that you have. So
the biggest thing that two kind of things that I've learned is build your network full of trusted partners, because
I like that.
Especially with what I do and exactly what you've said, somebody will always say, "Do you know her?
Yes.
Do you know her?"
Yeah, do you know Sam?
Exactly.
I do. Oh. Sorts things out.
And the other thing
you got a big
is
box of Lego.
No, by the way, please don't.
That is like the impossible.
Please, no one
task.
send me big box.
Don't do that.
No. But the other thing is, more brains is better.
Yes.
Because especially the creative and the problem solving, it just takes somebody else to look at it in a different way.
Like you do, yeah.
And you've got a whole other kind of solution that you never even thought of. And I think that's what I try and bring to the table, is another member of the team that understands the business well enough, but also isn't so engrossed in it that I can't see the bigger picture.
I am aware of the time, but one question I do want to ask is, what does the future for Sorted by Sam hold for you? Will there be a raft of Sams?
I get asked this quite a lot. I don't really want to have staff.
No.
I think it might be a case at some point where there is not necessarily a requirement, but in order to grow any further, it's needed. But again, it's that kind of finding the right people. If the right people were to kind of come along, and then it grows. But
interview
at the
process,
moment,
push them in a room with a box of Lego.
Yeah. But no, to be fair, and I'm only thinking on your behalf, you may end up getting, dare I say, just an admin person that manages your diary, because otherwise you're on a customer site and your phone's beeping and you're going, excuse me, oh yes, can I? But at least if you had a central, and that's just me talking openly. So that could be a really nice thing. But
I think that's really important. We're at the point now where there's various projects coming in, inquiries, and I'm like, can you just tell me what meeting I need to be in? If it, like the preamble, whether people are interested, we gauge it. We're normally pretty quick to provide our pricing, because I don't want to waste their time if they're, if they go, that's out of our budget, or we're keen. They know at that point. So I'm a big believer in that. And then, so you could have, it's not just about doing the sorting jobs, it's about your back office jobs as well and things like that.
Yeah, but that's an important thing. So interestingly, me and Michelle had this same chat over just before Christmas, where we as a company are growing, we're always growing, but we were getting constantly interrupted by phone calls. Now, I'm saying openly, I love talking to my customers, but when I'm sat working with a project and it's like, oh, it's Adam for you, and you're like, hi, Adam, stuff like that. We are growing to a point where I would like to think 70 to 80% of our phone calls are tickets.
Yes.
There's a problem with my printer. There's a problem. So we, Michelle and myself, sat down and we went, let's go out and get a firm. And it's Moneypenny. Big shout out to Moneypenny. And they handle all of our calls now.
Right.
And they basically,
I didn't realise you'd done that.
It's only for a few days a week.
Yep.
But on the busiest days, we've identified that on basically a Thursday and a Tuesday is our busiest days. It's really odd.
Ring on Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Exactly. But Thursdays, they answer the phones for us.
Right.
And my customers are all aware that if they want to speak to me, they can just ring Moneypenny and they go, hey, just get Andy to give me a call back. Happily ring them back. It's like I did that yesterday with the lovely lady Alex, stuff like that. What some of my customers do is they want to speak to me because they prefer speaking to me about their problem. And in the nicest possible way, I've gone, send me the ticket.
Yeah.
Because it's not just me. I've made the initial contact. Exactly right, Adam. But if there is a ticket, they can, the ticket system can then go, do me a favour, Dan, can you?
Yeah.
And I've not got involved. Has the customer got the end result? Yes. Did I have to do it? No. One of my team did it. So having what you're saying, we identified, we looked and what's our biggest problem? Bless, we talked to all the staff. And they were saying, so Dan and Eddie, they were going, our biggest problem is I'm in the middle of a job and the phone rings. And I'm going, yep, that's a fair point, actually. So we now, it's an extra cost, but best thing we ever did.
I occasionally go hiding to do project work. No, I don't. I've said it on the podcast. And
you go home.
Yeah, I've gone home and I'm sat there working away with my email off, with my phone on Do Not Disturb, because it is hard to, when you're getting to the point where people are ringing and this, that, and the other, it pulls you straight out of projects.
And my biggest frustration is I'm going, Adam, are you there? Adam on Teams. And he's I'm going, Adam!
That's why Teams has Do Not Disturb. That's why Teams has focus time.
Funnily
because
enough,
you need that, don't you?
You've got to have it. And we've got so many. My personal phone has all notifications turned off for social media. We pick it up daily. We're monitoring it. We've got software.
Of course you are.
My personal phone, it's like all of it's turned off. All of it's in a folder at the back. My phone goes on charge. I've said it multiple times at the other end of the house.
Yes.
Not next to my bed. I've had to put these systems in place in order to actually look after my brain.
I keep saying that.
Mahusive, yeah.
Anyway,
so our final question is:
what
are
you
doing
for
the
weekend?
I'm going to Spa.
What?
Ooh.
So
tell me more.
It's just me and my sister, as in like in terms of siblings and stuff. And every year it's, what do you want for Christmas? And we give each other a list and we buy the things on the list.
Yeah.
I could have just bought the thing.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So this year we said we're going to do something. So me and my sister, her husband and my partner, the four of us are going to a spa. And that's our Christmas present.
Amazing.
That is amazing. Where at, may we ask?
Is it Alton Hall?
I haven't been to that one.
No, I thought you were going to say Alton Towers. There's no spas at Alton Towers.
No, it's OUL.
Right.
TON.
I'll have to look that up.
In Leeds somewhere.
In Leeds?
Yeah, we got a voucher thing.
Oh,
so
great. So is that a full weekend as well?
Yes. So you get spa access, you get a meal.
I wish we'd asked each other
stay.
the question first, because that answer is actually amazing.
Well, oddly enough, and I'm sorry to steal a little tiny bit of thunder, for Christmas this year, we do the same, like Michelle buys me stuff, but we always try and get something a little bit unique.
Yeah.
And this year, according to my good lady wife, I knocked it out the park.
Oh.
So I got her a experience with Marco Pierre White Steakhouse in London, 5-course.
That's not this weekend, is it?
No.
All right, okay.
We booked it for July, and the reason I knew I knocked it out of the park is that she opened the card up and then burst into tears. And I was like, don't stop, you'll start me going. And then we both, but she was like, you knocked it out of the park.
Do you get to go with her, though?
Oh, God, yeah.
Only reason why I got it.
No. It's definitely, Michelle is definitely more that food thing. Oh, well, that's lovely. So is it a full weekend as well? Like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, come back?
No, just Saturday night.
Oh, but that's lovely. So travelling Saturday, staying there overnight, Sunday, travelling back.
Sunday travelling down to London. So I've got work stuff.
What?
So without going too much into detail, I'm working on a project which is, it kind of sits outside of Sorted by Sam. It's called Accessible, and we're building a marking platform app for Key Stage 2 English in the first instance, and then that will be expanded. So what it does is you take a picture of the work, handwritten, it then transcribes it into a digital thing, and then AI marks it. So it's,
why didn't you touch on this?
There's not enough time.
We'll get you back.
We'll get you back, definitely. That is him. How on earth did you get involved in that?
No, you're getting into it. We're doing the weekend.
Right, okay,
you will come back to discuss that.
Definitely.
That is amazing.
But yes, so next week we're going to the BET exhibition, which is a huge, big educational thing. Very techie educational thing. So we're doing that next Wednesday. But I've got an aunt that lives down in London, so I'm staying with her for the week.
Okay. Can you come back next Friday and tell us all about it?
Yeah.
Exactly. Awesome.
2 weeks starring in the podcast. That is excellent. What about you?
What am I doing?
Yeah. Rugby?
Rugby, possibly tomorrow. I haven't played in weeks.
You haven't?
I haven't played in weeks.
Do I need my kit back?
No, we'll give it our all tomorrow. So I'm away at Hartlepool. I'm DJing tomorrow night. I DJ on the side, by the way.
Okay.
Is that the first one of 2025? Because you were back into it at Christmas, weren't you?
Yes, it is the first one of 2025.
Wow.
Got bookings coming in. Quite a lot, actually. So DJing tomorrow night, 30th party. Darlington Rugby Club, just shout out, they've got Paddle UK they're opening the paddle tennis courts tonight at the Rugby Club, which will be after we've published this, but paddle tennis is on site at Darlington Rugby Club. So if anyone's interested.
And Dan are mulling it over, thinking, do we want to give it a go?
I want to give it a go.
I want to give it a go.
We'll go down. So, Paddle Tennis UK, there's an app that you download and you can book your courts and all of that. I've got it ready. I just need my racket. So that's opening. And then I'll be swimming in the pool tonight. I'm triathlon training. Sunday, coaching kids rugby.
Okay. It's still called plunging as well?
I'm not at the moment, but do you know that flu I had, which was really, really bad before Christmas, kind of like what you were describing?
Yeah.
I've just gone, I'll just give my immune system a bit of a chance at the moment. But I am eating the right things.
Good.
I would say diet, but I'm not. I'm eating the right things at the right times and the right amounts, and I'm working on my fitness and weight. Because I've got triathlon in summer.
Good.
So laser focus. But yeah, the cold plunges will come back. I've just avoided it in the cold weather after that flu. So yeah. Thank you so much for joining us. I've really enjoyed that. We're going to have to get you back.
Yeah, fantastic.
Thank you so much for having me. I can't believe
amazing.
how much we've covered and how much there's still to cover.
Yeah, lots to sort out. Namely that curtain behind me.
Sorry, yes, before we do go, how can people get in touch with Sorted by Sam?
So I do have a website. I have a Google profile. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. LinkedIn. Anywhere.
Anywhere
Sorted
and everywhere.
by Sam.
Get out into the interwebs. Have a look.
Yes,
well, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolute pleasure.
Lovely.
Brilliant.
All right then.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.